I've just got to say something here because I'm worried, really worried after this big defence meeting in Washington overnight between our Defence Minister Richard Marles, Foreign Minister Penny Wong, and America's Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. Because it left me again thinking how defenceless we are. Why isn't the Albanese government acting like, yes, war could break out with China within the next decade, like the government's top intelligence official said only last week? Why is it so silent? Why isn't it scrambling? Just a couple of days ago, China did something so dangerous to Japan that at last one minister felt forced on the weekend to speak out. Up to then, the Albanese government had said nothing when China threatened to cut the dirty neck, it said, of Japan's new Prime Minister for suggesting that Japan would defend Taiwan from a Chinese invasion, leading the Prime Minister's confidant, Shingo Yamagami, a former Japanese ambassador here, to write in the Australian last week, why wasn't Australia standing with Japan? And since then, of course, China's sent out its newest aircraft carrier, 3 destroyers, to conduct exercises off Japan's coast last week, involving Chinese warplanes, forcing Japan's air force to scramble. During that, Chinese fighters twice locked their fire control radar on Japanese planes, which is usually a move interpreted as a preparation to fire, a very hostile act, which then finally forced Richard Marles, our Defence Minister, who was in Japan on his way to Washington, to break the government's silence about China's bullying of Japan.
The events last night are concerning, and Australia has also experienced concerning events in interactions with the PLA. And we will continue to stand with Japan in working with Japan to assert the rules-based order in this region, and we will do it resolutely.
We stand resolutely with Japan. We didn't. And I'm not surprised when 2 weeks ago China sent out its number 3 man to privately tell our Prime Minister to his face to shut up about Taiwan and leave it to China. So good on Marles for finally saying something, but then he joined this Washington meeting yesterday, went back to telling us nothing. I mean, you consider we've got an army that's short of missiles and drones, even ammunition and men. We have a navy that didn't even have a frigate that could follow 3 Chinese naval ships last February that circled Australia firing weapons. Our government's starving them as money while it puts all its eggs into buying 3 nuclear subs from the US. So the US has since said, well, we're not sure we can afford to sell them, you know, AUKUS agreement or not. And at these defence talks yesterday, the Americans are back to saying, yes, they want this submarine deal to work, but, you know, like work for America.
We're strengthening AUKUS so that it works for America, for Australia, and for the UK.
So what did that mean? The subs are coming on time as agreed or not? I mean, Marles refused 12 times to say.
Is there a reason why you're reluctant to give any detail to the Australian public?
Firstly, the review is their review, so I'm seeking to respect that.
Does the Australian government agree with those recommendations?
Look, again, we are working through, we're working with the United States and the United Kingdom about how we can make AUKUS better, and that's all I'm going to say.
Would Marles comment when he was asked, well, what about, you know, America demanding, did it demand again, that we spend 50% more on our defence? Oh, no, couldn't comment. Does it sound to you like the Defence Minister of a country desperately preparing for a possible war? A war that's openly threatened now by a huge and aggressive dictatorship to our north? Yeah, I don't get it. You know, at least I said, oh, look, you know, we've just negotiated to build more stuff in 3 RWF bases to get more troops in the US, working on hypersonic missiles. But really, this is not enough. And if this is what we get from the results of a high-profile defence meeting with the American centrepiece of our strategic policy, we are in strife.